It was supposed to be a straightforward interview. Donald Trump, the former president, sitting across from Fox News host Maria Bartiromo, answering questions about his plans for the economy, immigration, and the state of the country. Yet, what unfolded during this conversation was far from the smooth and authoritative demeanor Trump typically strives to project. Instead, what the world witnessed was an epic unraveling, complete with incoherent economic theories, baffling claims about tariffs, and a series of unsubstantiated promises. Trump's proposal of a 200% tariff on foreign auto manufacturers left Bartiromo, usually one of his friendlier interlocutors, visibly perplexed. In this video, we break down the key moments of this bizarre interview, highlighting how Trump's incoherent responses, wild claims, and misleading economic promises left even the Fox host momentarily at a loss. Trump's rambling answers about tariffs, the national debt, and a supposed war on cows were as baffling as they were unsettling. For many, the interview was further proof of Trump's cognitive decline and his increasing disconnect from economic reality. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to reaching 1,000 subscribers, but we can't do it without you. So if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe right now. And if you're already subscribed, give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment to let me know your thoughts. All right, let's dive right into it. The 200% tariff proposal, a recipe for economic chaos? At the heart of Trump's meltdown during his interview with Maria Bartiromo was his insistence on imposing a 200% tariff on foreign car companies, specifically targeting those importing vehicles into the United States. His justification? A belief that such tariffs would miraculously bring manufacturing jobs back to the U.S. without affecting consumer prices. But as Bartiromo pointed out, economic experts, including those at the Wall Street Journal, were already raising alarms about the potential repercussions of such a plan. Higher tariffs, they warned, would inevitably lead to higher prices for American consumers, with the costs being passed down from manufacturers to the end buyers. Bartiromo, doing what many Fox hosts usually refrain from, actually pushed back on Trump's claims. She cited analysis from the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, which estimated that Trump's economic policies, particularly the tariffs, could increase the national debt by $7.5 trillion over the next decade. The Wall Street Journal echoed these concerns, noting that Trump's plans could lead to deficits even larger than those projected under Kamala Harris's proposed policies. "How are you going to pay for it?" Bartiromo asked, her tone laced with genuine concern. "If you impose a 200% tariff on these companies, won't that result in higher prices for consumers?" The Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget says, "Your plans will skyrocket the debt." Trump's response was, in typical fashion, dismissive and vague. No, it doesn't mean that. "Prices won't go up. They'll stay the same," he insisted, without offering any detailed explanation of how such a miraculous feat could be achieved. "The companies will stop bringing their cars here. It won't even happen." Bartiromo was left momentarily stunned. "But won't it have to be passed on to the consumers somehow?" she pressed. Trump, however, doubled down, continuing his disjointed defense of the policy. Trump versus economic reality, a battle lost. As the interview went on, it became increasingly clear that Trump's grasp on economic reality was tenuous at best. Bartiromo, citing Goldman Sachs and other economic experts, noted that Trump's proposed tariffs, combined with his tax cuts for the wealthy, could send the national deficit soaring and potentially drive the U.S. into a recession. Goldman Sachs economists had recently weighed in on Trump's economic policies, predicting that they would worsen inflation and cause long-term damage to the U.S. economy. According to the bank's analysis, the combination of high tariffs, tax cuts for the rich, and unchecked government spending would exacerbate the very problems Trump claimed to be solving. Yet, Trump seemed either unaware of or unconcerned by these warnings. Instead, he launched into a stream of rhetoric about how his administration had deflated inflation during his term, a statement that economic data strongly contradicts. Inflation had, in fact, remained a persistent issue throughout his presidency, with spikes in key sectors like housing and healthcare. Trump's claim that his economic plan was supported by top economists rang hollow. In reality, numerous economists, including those from prestigious institutions like the Wharton School, had openly criticized his policies. The Wharton School even released a report warning that Trump's tariff-heavy plan would explode the deficit and likely lead to a full-blown recession by the middle of the following year. Furthermore, 16 Nobel laureates had gone on record describing Trump's economic strategies as reckless and inflationary. Yet Trump was undeterred by the mounting evidence against his proposals. "We are going to deflate inflation," he declared with the bravado of someone who had no real understanding of how inflation works. "Everyone in this room is dumber for having listened to it," quipped one commentator in response to Trump's incoherent statements. Authoritarian rhetoric and dangerous proposals. Beyond the economic debacle, Trump's interview took a darker turn when the conversation veered into the territory of authoritarianism. At one point, Trump openly suggested that the U.S. military should be used to deal with radical left lunatics, whom he described as the enemy from within. This statement caught even Bartiromo off guard. While she is no stranger to Trump's hardline rhetoric, the suggestion that military force should be used against American citizens who oppose him was alarming. Bartiromo attempted to rein him in, but Trump, undeterred, continued to espouse his belief that the real threat to the U.S. came not from foreign adversaries, but from within the country itself. "We have some very bad people. We have some sick people," Trump ranted, "and it should be very easily handled if necessary by the National Guard, or if really necessary by the military." These chilling remarks were not lost on the Harris campaign, which swiftly issued a statement condemning Trump's words as dangerous and un-American. "What Donald Trump is promising is nothing less than a return to authoritarianism," the statement read. "His rhetoric, combined with his past actions, should alarm every American who values freedom and democracy." It wasn't just the Harris campaign raising red flags. Political analysts across the spectrum expressed concern over Trump's increasingly incendiary rhetoric. His threats to use the military against political opponents, combined with his past actions to undermine democratic norms, painted a picture of a man who was willing to go to great lengths to cling to power. Mental decline, public confusion, and outbursts. Adding to the surreal nature of the interview was Trump's increasingly erratic behavior. Throughout the conversation, he struggled to stay on topic, often veering off into unrelated rants about everything from immigration to his long-standing feud with the media. At one point, he even claimed that Democrats were waging a war on cows, a bizarre reference that left viewers scratching their heads. There have been growing concerns about Trump's mental fitness, concerns that were only exacerbated by his performance during this interview. Reports from the New York Times have detailed instances of Trump confusing major global events and mixing up the names of world leaders. In one particularly egregious example, Trump claimed to have run against Barack Obama in 2016, a race that, of course, never happened. These public displays of confusion have led many to question whether Trump is still mentally capable of holding office. His repeated gaffes, combined with his increasingly hostile and erratic behavior, have raised alarms not just among Democrats, but within his own party as well. Some Republican insiders, speaking on condition of anonymity, have expressed doubts about Trump's ability to lead, pointing to his erratic behavior and declining cognitive abilities. That Trump's interview with Maria Bartiromo was meant to be an opportunity for the former president to lay out his vision for a potential second term. Instead, it turned into a masterclass in incoherence, with Trump bumbling through economic questions, spouting authoritarian rhetoric, and displaying signs of cognitive decline. His proposal of a 200% tariff on foreign auto manufacturers, far from being a well-thought-out economic policy, was revealed to be nothing more than a hollow soundbite, devoid of any real substance or understanding of economic realities. His continued insistence that tariffs wouldn't raise consumer prices, and his failure to address how his policies would add trillions to the national debt, left even his loyal supporters scratching their heads. As Trump continues to push his brand of economic populism and authoritarian rhetoric, the stakes for the future of American democracy grow ever higher. His meltdown during this interview is just the latest in a long line of troubling signs that suggest Trump is no longer fit for office, if he ever was to begin with. And as the 2024 election looms, the American people will have to decide whether they are willing to gamble on a man whose policies could push the country to the brink of economic and political disaster.